Fruits.
Balrogs Blastbeats. Bang. There you go. Dabbing on the intro. This right here is a nerdy contraption made by nerds to talk about all things nerd and rock and roll and the intersection between the two. My name is Josh Redbeard.
Howdy, I'm Grant.
And I'm Margy. It's good to be back.
Always.
Let's kick off with the nerdiest thing that we've done, as we always do each week. We talk about the nerdiest thing that we've been up to in the last week, which isn't hard for us, being bloody nerds. I'm going to go first because mine is really cool for me. I love that being a nerd can encompass so many things, and I spent my Saturday in a seminar with world experts on Bernini's bronzes. So John Lorenzo Bernini, he was an Italian sculptor and architect, and he's really famous. If you go to Rome, his sculptures are everywhere. Like, he's got some really amazing ones. He's worth having a Google. Like, he's an amazing sculptor, and he's like credited with like the Baroque style of sculpture, and he worked in like the 17th century. But this is a research project that's happening with global collaborators exploring the bronzes that were made of his works. So it's a really cool way that they make the sculptures. So you have a sculpture, and then you make a plaster cast of the sculpture, and then you take the plaster cast off, and then you line the plaster cast with wax, and then you take the plaster cast off, so you just have a wax mold. Then you fill the wax mold with clay, and then you put another cast of clay around the outside. There's pins and stuff involved. Then you melt all the wax out, and then you fill it with like melted bronze. Then you take away all the clay, and then you have a bronze sculpture. And because they do it that way with the plaster cast to start with, you can actually make copies. So they're like they're tracking down all the different iterations of each sculpture. And there's a couple of them at the NGV. So they came here to study them. And then they gave us a really cool lecture on the technical analysis of bronzes. I got really excited about quantitative XRF analysis and was a big nerd. Pretty fun. And you guys are like, jeez.
You reckon he stamps the first one? Do you reckon he stamps it first edition, or and then the other ones are like the reprints?
There was a huge argument between an art historian and the conservators who were there, because the art historian was like, they're still Bernini's. And we're like, yeah, but what about like the forgeman who made them? And like, does that not make them theirs as well? And then there was a large argument that kicked off. Anyway, it was really funny.
I guess that's true, because I wonder how much of the process that he actually did himself. Like, obviously he would have made the original cast, and that would have been
he would have made the original sculpture, but not even anything beyond that. He would have got other people to do it. So it's like, I don't know. Like,
well, they're not really. They're not Bernini's then. They're technically their copies. If they're just like this tracing paper over a drawing, like, cool. Like, say like Bernini drew a drawing and then I traced paper over the top of it. Like, technically that's not a Bernini that I traced, is it?
True.
Or is it? Well, some of them were made during his lifetime. Yeah, so some of them were made during his lifetime, and like would have been made by people that he knew, so he would have had an influence in it, like he would have overseen. But then it goes like, how many of them were just kind of made by whoever? So that's the beauty of doing the analysis. We can like trace where the clay on the inside was from and where like the bronzes are from in their composition, and kind of work to figure out where they came from. So that's some really nerdy shit that's happening in art conservation. Josh, you've been going to any seminars on a Saturday?
I cannot say that I have, but I did spend it was actually Friday, not Saturday. I drove an hour out of my way to go and pick up 147 graphic novels that I purchased on Gumtree. Because I love a marketplace and a Gumtree bargain. And yeah, I've been really, really wanting to start the like Marvel did the Marvel Ultimates graphic novel series, and they did the Mightiest Heroes graphic novel series, and I've wanted to start reading them for a while now. And there's like, I don't know, there's probably like 300 across the two of those, plus the classics as well. And most people sell their collections for about $1,000, because these were I think you originally paid like $20 per graphic novel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found some dude. I find that people that sell on Gumtree rather than Marketplace don't really know the value of things as well. And so I found a dude selling this collection for $300, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go and get this collection for $300. And they're all in amazing condition and everything like that. And I did feel bad that maybe he didn't know until he opened his mouth. And then he was saying things like he doesn't listen to metal these days because it's too political. And he doesn't like that bands like System of a Down went political. And I was like, have you
what?
have you listened to System of a Down? And then he said he stopped
What's with Rage Against the Machine these days?
Yeah.
It'd be so political these days.
Yeah, he actually said he stopped collecting these comics as well because they went too woke. And I'm like, cool, man, I have no issue with taking these off you for a bargain. Then cool, I'm going to keep that thought to myself forever. But yeah, I scored 147 graphic novels.
Mean by too woke though, like especially like if the graphic novels would have finished in the 90s, so what did they have, like a female character?
A female character wearing clothes. That would have been.
Did they introduce She-Hulk? He's like, nope, this is enough, can't do it anymore. You know, Wonder Woman was wearing a leotard, but She-Hulk, that's not on.
Maybe.
I don't get it.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I scored 147 graphic novels for an average of $2 each, and they're all in fucking perfect condition. So I've just started slowly reading through a whole bunch of classics, and I'm very happy with that. Yeah, right. Great. What about you? What's the nerdiest thing you've done this week?
Well, last week, I remember I talked a couple of weeks ago how we like finished our first like D&D campaign with our new DM, and we started the next phase of it. So pretty much what happened was like we went out to town to get paid for our previous quest. We decided that my character and my friend's character were going to have a drinking competition. So
that always ends
he's
well.
like, so yeah, he's like, oh, you know, this would be fun. I think he's playing like I can't remember, like kind of like not a dark elf. I can't remember what it's called, but he's like some kind of necromancer thing. And I've got like this giant orc. So he goes, oh yeah, well, let's do a drinking contest. I'm like, okay, barkeep, can I buy 4 kegs of mead? Not just cups, kegs. And then straight away, like my friend's like, oh, fuck, okay. I don't know how this is going to go. So then our DM, what he had to do was, so I'm like, well, I want to hit the keg with my axe to break it open so it can like shotgun the keg. And then because my character's got like a high strength stat, I didn't have to do a strength check to lift the keg up to drink it. But the other guy did. So like I had to roll to hit the keg to open it up, and then had to do a dexterity check to make sure that I could hold the keg like the more that I drank, and then a constitution check to make sure that I didn't like I wasn't like gonna pass out. But then like my friend who was supposed to be having like the drinking contest with me, he goes to pick up his keg, but he failed the strength test, so he just dropped it on his head and got knocked out. And then my character drank the other 3 kegs, and then like, you know, we all went to, you know, like we cut to morning, and then they had to go on a whole day's quest to go find me because I was like, he's just like, you're not playing now, like your character's like gone, like they're all gonna have to like find all these clues. Apparently there's like these like sticky mead footprints heading into a sewer. They found my chef's hat somewhere because I'm a chef orc. My name's Buttercup because I was a pastry chef in Clan Black Skull, but you know that's
nice.
It's a story for a different time. And then yeah, so eventually, like after like all this stuff happens, they find me, and then we go to the smithy, and then spend another hour and a half talking to the smithy about how we're going to try start a fight club and purchase a barge that we can put in the river, so we don't have to pay taxes to the owner of the keep because we're in the river on this barge and starting a fight club in there. And that was our entire 3-hour session that we had paid for.
Fantastic.
So we advanced 0 into the plot.
Amazing.
But yeah,
I think that's perfect. Mead is delicious. If anyone's ever actually had mead, it's fucking good.
Like honey, isn't it? It's like it's fermented honey.
Yeah, it's like honey beer. I don't know how to describe it. It was like
I've never had it before.
Yeah, my brother went through a phase of drinking it. He used to collect like medieval fighting weapons, but modern style, like throwing axes and knives. And then he started drinking mead. And delicious. Also, my D&D character would have died on trying to pick up a keg as well. So half elves for the win. So strong.
Yeah. Well, I guess talking about D&D, I guess what we're going to be talking about in our medium beat today is everything that's been announced at Comic-Con, and I guess there's a D&D trailer in there. I don't know if you two have watched that.
Oh my god,
I have.
I think it looks phenomenal.
I was sitting there scowling because I was like, well, of course they don't have a druid because druids are too fucking good. And then they introduced
and
the
then
druid.
there's your elf druid.
And I was like, yay! So I'm excited.
I think it looked like they're trying to capture what it feels like to play D&D instead of like a Jumanji style movie where people are like actually playing D&D and then you're like seeing in the world, or like how it's just like if you are just like knee deep in a D&D campaign and you're there, that's what I feel like the movie looks like from the trailer anyway. But yeah, I reckon it looks like it'd be a lot of fun.
I saw an interview where they were talking to the cast about it. I can't remember who was doing the interview, but they asked the interesting question of like, it is one question that I had watching the trailer is it an action film or is it a comedy? And the cast were kind of saying, well, like playing the game is sort of both. Like, I mean, granted, as you just said, like it's a fucking drinking competition that then turns into something very serious afterwards. And so it's like they were trying to capture that essence, as you say. It's like playing the game. It's not one or the other. It's sort of a bit of both depending on how you play it.
Yeah.
And it could also be like you'd be like, say like you're in a conversation, like the obvious way to go is to like do like a serious thing, and then all of a sudden someone else just starts doing some goofy shit, and then you're like, you got this whole goofy tangent, and it looks like it kind of captures that.
Yeah.
Like how they talk about the classes like openly to each other. Like I really like that too.
Yeah, and I think the druid already looks like a suspicious hermit, so that's always a good start. And what is that? It's an owl bear, and they're like, it's like clearly they have a DM who lets them do shit.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's just like something that obviously doesn't exist. They're like, it's an owl bear. Of course.
And the bard being like, I make plans, and then when the plans fail, I make new plans. Yeah, and I have a loot. It's like, yep, that's a bard.
100%.
And they left out the fact that bards always just try and sleep with everything. So we'll see if that gets captured.
I honestly feel like bards are pretty overpowered, to be real. For thinking like someone who can't fight, it seems pretty like they do well.
Yeah, but to play a bard, you have to be able to make up a song on the spot.
Oh yeah, I think you have to be like real life charismatic to play a bard, and I don't have that covered at all. That's why I'm a barbarian. My improv skills hot garbage, so I'm just like smash thing.
Yeah. Lots of grunts, and that's all you really need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why people play it.
Another really great property that I was excited about. I remember hearing that this was happening, but I hadn't actually seen the trailer. The trailer for Prey, like the new Predator.
Yeah, that's comes out soon. It's like straight to Stan or it's straight to Disney, I think.
Yeah,
is it a movie or a series?
It's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. But yeah, it seems to follow like Native American Indians like hunting the predators. Like I think it's supposed to be like Predator's first hunt on Earth. And yeah, it's like a tribe of Native American Indians, like
just Native Americans.
Yeah, Native Americans, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, it's just them hunting it, and it looks amazing. Like it looks phenomenal.
I'd be keen to see their portrayal as well of like see if they're going to try and be accurate in the Native American portrayal, which will be interesting. And
it looks different and more like it doesn't look as cheesy as anything I've ever seen before. Like that's for sure. Like
it's no Peter Pan with headdresses and a peace pipe.
Yeah, like I wonder like what the time period it's going to be set in as well. I think that'd be interesting. Like obviously you'd think it'd be like like the whole fucking what's his name, Christopher.
Yeah,
just Hurt's children. I can't remember his name.
Pre white people coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I guess even before that, like I guess the Spanish is still kind of whitish, but I think like even like they got like the smallpox hella bad from the Spanish. So I think before the Americans, the colonists even got there. I think like they'd already lost like millions to sickness. Which is sad.
And then they just kept giving out smallpox blankets. Yeah. Right. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
No, absolutely not. But the film itself looks amazing, and it looks like it is being done with a lot of respect in that sort of way. Like I said, it's not something I've ever seen at that level before, and it does look really, really interesting. It looks like a different take as well. Like I'm glad it's not like another, Arnie and fucking, like just muscle bound dudes fighting it again. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
it looks like a
different take on it. It's gonna be cool.
female lead as well. So
Yeah.
always about that. And speaking about America in the past, Interview with the Vampire series. Coming out as a series, not a movie. I don't know if anyone here read the OG Anne Rice
A
books.
long time ago.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was like, oh my god, read all of their books. So yeah, but good casting. Because Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in the original, like the movie, like Lestat as Tom Cruise, like what the fuck, like as if you would have cast Brad Pitt as Lestat. Anyway, Sam Reed looks like a much better casting. It doesn't look like Claudia has blonde hair, which I'm angry about, who is the child vampire. She's meant to be an idyllic blonde angel child, but so far it only says that she's in one episode, so I'm guessing it's going to be a multiple series thing.
Yeah.
And that was just me immediately like, but it looks dark, it looks sexy, because Anne Rice writes in such like a succulent way is the only way to put it, like
very horny.
the horny. So it looks very, very, yeah, it looks exactly right up the alley.
Amazing. I'm quite pensive about another translated book to TV series.
I wonder
the
what
Sandman,
it could be.
the Sandman trailer.
Yeah, I saw that. That's Sandman. Is that
Neil Gaiman?
It's not Neil Gaiman. Yeah, I call it Frank Miller, Neil Gaiman, and the guy who does The Preacher. The three of them are the same person to me.
Yeah, understandably.
I can't remember who's who.
I haven't read it, but
yeah. Neil Gaiman, I love. But when they've translated some of his stuff, it's because it's such high fantasy. Like American Gods is one of my favorite books, but so much of it just can't be translated to film. It just like it's one of those things where it loses a bit of its power and almost verges on cheesy. And from this trailer for the Sandman, it looks like they just haven't had the budget to do it right, and I'm kind of nervous about it, to be honest. Like I'm hoping for the best because I love Neil Gaiman, but yeah, I feel like especially the translations from his work to like screen, I think the only one that I've really like Good Omens was fucking incredible, but that was a lot of character based rather than like high fantasy and stuff, whereas this is, because it's so high fantasy, I'm scared they're going to ruin it.
I saw the casting for Death in that, or I don't know what the character's name is, but Death is played by a girl. Anyway, and it was a really cool like little scene that they I saw posted of like her in character doing the Death thing, like as like the Grim Reaper, but not being Grim Reapery.
The hooded cloak and the scythe and everything like that.
Yeah, she just like had like an unk around her neck, and it was I was like, okay, that's cool. I vibe. Let's see.
Yeah, the personifications of those characters look cool, but it's more the like the CGI and everything, like to get some of the imagery onto film. I'm very, very nervous about.
Yeah,
the bad CGI is something that I noticed when I watched the She-Hulk the trailer, and the whole premise, I love it. Everything looks fantastic, except for like there's a lot of scenes where you can just see like the green skin CGI is just like really badly done. But apart from that, like taking it out of it, looks like heaps of fun. Like one of my favorite cartoons.
Why is the She-Hulk so much smaller than the Hulk?
Like I don't know.
I was like,
even
why?
The Hulk's smaller.
Yeah, like the Hulk's a lot smaller, but She-Hulk is just like a tall woman, and I'm like. But like I'll always remember her, like that actress. I can't remember her name, but the actress who's playing She-Hulk, I'll always think of her as from, is it Orphan Black? The one where there's all the clones.
I've not seen it.
No, I haven't seen it either.
Oh, it's such a good series. It's she plays like 15 different people in it because it's all about
all the clones.
It's about clones, and it's called Orphan Black. It's really good. And
it's a Netflix one, isn't it? I think I definitely feel like I've seen it before, but I don't know if I've watched it.
Some of it gets a bit camp and ridiculous, but it's like watching her in that, I was like, is this another one of the clones? And then I was like, no, wait, it's a different movie.
I was like, it looks hilarious though. Like the premise of it looks fantastic. Like I love, like one of my favorite cartoons is Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. And it feels like very much that same vibe, like that that just like off the wall, like you got to like represent superheroes for like all these ridiculous things.
And it's
like,
going to be campy and it's going to be
yes.
dumb.
And
Yeah.
I think campy's good. I think that's something that's been moved away from is campy. Like
Yeah.
apart from like I think like the CGI looks like a little bad in some scenes, but not all of them. I think that's what makes me worried, just like the consistency. I think it was the same the whole time, but that's the only criticism I have. Apart from that, it looks like it's going to be really fun to watch. I'm looking forward to that.
It's
interesting.
interesting.
Like, just fun.
It's interesting as well that you say like moving away from campy, because I literally had this note, and I think that kind of ties in nicely, where it's like DC are obviously quite known for their like darker films, but Shazam looks amazing. Shazam looks better than any other DC property, and I'm like, that is the campiest DC property.
And like Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as heels, as like the bad people. That looks awesome. I was watching that yesterday. I watched that trailer. Like I even got my partner. I'm like, you have to watch this trailer because she doesn't like superhero stuff at all. And then watching the Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer, I'm like, this looks hilarious. And then straight after it, the Black Adam trailer comes on. I'm like, this looks so fucking boring. Like, what is like, this is garbage. Like, I hate this. Like straight after Shazam, everything's fun. You know, it's like nice little quips, but also looks like there's good action and everything. And then he's got like this super serious dude about The Rock fighting in a world. I'm not sure if he's in ancient Egypt or if he's in today, but he's The Rock. I'm like, this looks like shit.
And then he gets a cape. Boring. I'm not entirely sure what it was about. Yeah, that one, no idea. Yeah, and obviously the extended trailer for the Rings of Power came out.
I like that as well. That looks very good.
It's going to be, speaking of high fantasy, so I haven't read up to the Quenta Silmarillion yet. I've only done the first 2 books of the Silmarillion, so I'm not sure if it's more about that or if it's there's like 4 sections to it. The third is the Quenta Silmarillion, and then the third is the Akallabeth, which is more about the downfall of the First Age, and it seems like it's more about the downfall of the First Age following the formation of the Rings of Power than it is about the book about the Silmaril and stuff like that. But
that's what I thought too. It seemed kind of like they were going for that point in time, like when Sauron was like making the rings and tricking the people, not so much like
it's less about the Silmaril, which I thought it was going to be about. So interesting. But one of my friends worked in the costume department for that show, and I saw a few little behind the scenes snippets, and it looks there's going to be some good shit in there.
Do you reckon they're saving the Silmaril for like season 2? Do you reckon they're going to do Rings of Power and then the next one would be
going back in time to the Silmaril?
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to pull off, but I think at the same time it's going to be, if you went straight with the start of the Silmarillion, I think everyone would be like, people who don't know what the Silmarillion is, because a lot of people didn't even know what like the Hobbit was, let alone the Silmarillion, which he wrote first. I think they'd find it hard to get viewers to see like, oh, like I don't know what's going on in this place at all, and like when Sauron's probably like season 4 if you did the Silmarillion as a whole.
Well, Sauron's there since like the Maiar and stuff, the Valar, because anyway, let's not go too much into that. I'm just like, why didn't they cast the same people for Elrond and Galadriel? Because they're elves. Once they reach maturity, they look the same. So they should have just had the same casting as Lord of the Rings movies. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want to do it.
Rude.
Did anyone or maybe they're gonna do the Lord of the Rings in this series as well. Yeah, maybe they've just bought the rights to everything. Maybe they're gonna do the Lord of the Rings as well, and then they'll have like new cast members completely. So you could see this go all the way through.
Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so something that I saw at Comic-Con that I've never realized that was remade, or is it a remake? Teen Wolf? Is that what's going on there? What is that?
That was a movie, right?
Yeah, it was a movie in '85, but this new thing looks nothing like it. Why is there ghost samurais? Why aren't they playing basketball? Why isn't there a guy turning into a werewolf and they're just like, play ball? You know, this thing looks like super serious. Like it's like I'm watching Riverdale. And
because it was Michael J. Fox in the original, wasn't it? He was the original. And then it was Jason Bateman was in Teen Wolf 2. They did
Yeah.
like a sequel with a different Teen Wolf, but yeah, now they've turned it into a TV show, and then now it's a movie of the TV show. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was like so confused. I'm like, is this a different Teen Wolf? Because I'm like, this looks like so far away from like what I know as Teen
It
Wolf.
looks like hot garbage. Do you think they were
Yeah.
embarrassed showing it at Comic-Con because there were so many good trailers, and then they're like,
Yeah.
here's our Teen Wolf trailer, and everyone's like, is that a ghost
Ew.
samurai?
I'm
And
like,
they're
is that like really bad True Blood? Like, what is going on here? It looks like that kind of style, that like True Blood, like a Twilight, even like
Vampire
like,
Diaries is the vibe I was getting.
Vampire.
Like,
Maybe that's the one I'm actually thinking of. Vampire
True
Diaries.
Blood's True Blood's the campy one. Vampire Diaries.
Or is Vampire Diaries the one with the twin brothers that are like fighting over the girl that's like been? Yeah, it's weird. Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. That's what it reminds me of. Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
I'm like, standalone camp, that's fine, but like,
and then,
it being connected to that movie just doesn't compute
and to a series. But something that didn't get a trailer that was still a very exciting announcement is for fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You knew I was going to do this.
Yeah, I was waiting on it. I was waiting on it.
So we heard that they're going to make 3 Avatar movies, like the announcement for 3 of them, and we heard that the first one was about Aang, and it is about Aang and the gang as young adults, and I'm very excited. This is just me. Oh Jesus. I'm sitting on a piano stool and it was on something and it was rocking. And okay, sorry, ADHD. Any other announcements that got you guys?
Well, I think we've kind of glazed over like the Marvel announcements, because obviously, as well as She-Hulk, there was so much kind of under that. There's the Agatha
Wakanda
series,
Forever.
Ironheart.
Wakanda
Forever looks amazing. I was like, I knew that they were going to do it justice, but it looks good.
Yeah, when I watched the trailer for that, like the aesthetics, the color, everything's so vibrant. It looked amazing.
Yeah.
But because I haven't watched a Marvel movie since I think Civil War. Like, actually, no, I watched Shang-Chi and the Seven Rings because I have a massive crush on Michelle Yeoh. And
who doesn't?
I love Kim's Convenience as well. I don't know if any of you two have seen Kim's Convenience. That's a fantastic show. So I'm like, okay, I have to watch Shang-Chi. But apart from that, I haven't watched anything Civil War. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand any of this. I haven't seen Endgame or nothing. But I'm like, that looks like everything looks amazing. Like the colors are so, it's just the aesthetics. Yes.
I mean, you have to catch up on all of this. But so yeah, I think the only thing that was like obviously left out, like they've announced all the way to like pretty much the end of 2024. Like they said there's still about 6 films that they have to announce in there, and TV shows and whatnot. But there's still no proper mention of mutants in this whole thing, and apparently that's because Sony have the rights until 2025.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they have the rights to mutants as like a whole until 2025. So not just X-Men, but like the properties that kind of come under it.
Hell.
So I feel like there's going to be like, they're going to allude to mutants over the next little while, but I don't think we're going to see like outside of the odd cameo like we got. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, but we see Professor X in there. I know, right? Shocking. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's got to be like some kind of like, if you're gonna bring that in, that has to be like the multiple universes shit. Otherwise, you can't just retroactively go back. It's like, all these superheroes, but like, like we haven't really talked about them for like the last literally 15 years of making these movies, but there's like all these like other superhero guys that have just been hiding away off camera.
They're literally just born because of some weird gene mutation, and they probably could have saved the day multiple times, but no, it's because they were all training at the academy.
All at camp.
So
they were all
technically like Wolverine is better than all of us, but he just hasn't bothered so far.
Wolverine's going on a bender for the past 15 years. He'll be back.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to like mix that in, like just going, actually, no, there's actually heaps of mutants. We, for some reason, have just like never run into Magneto, like the biggest, like probably just like crush Tony Stark in a second. But
I feel like I feel like there's going to be. I feel like there's going to be hints from like from different
in the She-Hulk trailer, they were talking about all these different superhero or like something are coming out of the woodwork, and I was like mutants, like like
I think that'll be how they allude to it, as things like that. But yeah, and rumors are rife, especially around like the next 2 big like big baddies in it, which in Quantum, like Ant-Man, it's going to be they've confirmed King the Conqueror, obviously, but also MODOK. But
Yes,
apparently,
that's like the big like brain thing, isn't it?
well, it's, yeah,
MODOK?
it's like a massive floating head with like arms and legs.
Yes, that's
Apparently, it's gonna be a mechanical face. Like that's how they're gonna kind of make it a bit more realistic.
Okay.
Because obviously, it'd be real. It'd be impossible to make like MODOK as MODOK is.
And not make it look
Yeah.
Not
like
make it look
awful.
fucking stupid. But yeah,
Not
apparently
not
it's
like
like a
the face of Bo in like
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
yeah. So apparently it's like it's a big robot. It's apparently it's like a big robotic head with arms and legs rather than like a human. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with
So
that.
like
But
if that's like say like if that's in the quantum verse, like I've saw like actually I didn't even watch the trailer for that, but like I'm like aware of like what the like that little like universe that they go into is. So that mean that technically like MODOK is actually like tiny because he's in this universe.
no, well, I mean it'll be
I don't know,
interesting to see. He
He's
may
a
be able to
brain
travel
cell.
through
yeah.
the he may be able to travel through the quantum universe because yeah, it's curious. I was reading about because Bill Murray's in it, and Bill Murray's
Yep.
character is apparently he's like within the quantum realm. There's like a big city that's kind of ruled by this evil dude, and the character's name that Bill Murray's playing was like the advisor to this dude who ends up helping Ant-Man kind of defeat him. But in the comic books, the character gets killed in the same comic book he's introduced in. Like he's
Okay, yeah.
literally in one comic book, and so
Ah.
yeah. So whether it's like Kang is the one that's conquering this one, and this dude helps him, like free the people or whatever. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. But like, yeah, the depth of lore they've had to go to get to this character is interesting, and then to give it to someone like Bill Murray, like it's not going to be some throwaway character.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, Bill
But
Murray's
also-
cameo in Zombieland.
Oh, hilarious. He's so good. Yeah, just
Pretty
gets
fucking good.
shot straight away.
So good. So maybe that's the kind of cameo we're looking at.
Yeah. Did anyone see? I guess it's pretty short, like the John Wick 4 trailer. I don't know if you two are into John Wick, but I love the John Wick movies.
I love John Wick, but it is.
I have no idea which ones I've seen. I just know that the dog dies, spoiler, and then there's just a lot of killing, but it's Keanu, so I could watch it all day. So
yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to be any different to the last three, but I'm 100% going to go.
It's got Donnie Yen in it, and it looks like he's fighting Donnie Yen like 4 or 5 times. Like I don't know if you've seen like
true.
Ip Man and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And he's that's him. Or he was like the blind dude in Rogue One, like Star Wars.
He was
Rogue One with the staff.
I was watching. I totally forgot he was in this, but he's also in Blade 2. He's part of the
Is
Blood
he?
Pack, and
What?
yeah, he's part of the Blood Pack in Blade 2.
I never even noticed that. Like I've seen that movie so times, I've never realized that.
I swear, I'm going to be so embarrassed if that's wrong. But I swear, I was watching it last night, and I was like, "Hang on,
he
is
could
that-"
be. Yeah, I feel like I haven't watched it in like a couple of years.
Yeah, no, it is. It 100% is. He's 100%. I was like,
and it's like
now that-
Ron Perlman as well.
yeah, Ron Pro, because he like, and Donnie Yen has like no lines in it at all. Because that was what 2002, so he wasn't really big in the US at that stage.
No, I
Oh
think
my
it just done The Hero. I think that would have been his biggest credit in the West since then.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Hero?
no.
Oh, so what it is, it's like a kung fu style movie, but essentially it's like all these 4 different stories of like these people trying to assassinate this king who's trying to like unite China. But every story is from a different assassin's perspective, and how they intertwine changes every time because it's kind of like you're seeing it from different perspective.
Yeah.
But the beautiful part about the movie is all of the 4 segments have like their own color scheme. So everything's like this like beautiful orange everywhere, like everything's orange, all like the sails and everything's orange. Then like one's blue, one's red, and the last one's green. And yeah, it's just it's got like Donnie Yen, Michelle Yeoh, not Jackie Chan. How have I forgot his name? Jet Li from Fearless. Jet Li. Like so, it's got like all the big shots, and there's a few more as well. But yeah, The Hero, mwah, fantastic film.
Fuck yeah.
Go see that.
About
hell
it.
yeah.
Any other things from Comic-Con we want to? I mean, there's always so much mentioned there.
Yeah, there was so much.
They had a movie trailer for the Dragon Ball Super movie. It looks like dog shit. It looks like it actually looks like the video games, like that weird like 3D CGI instead of like the 2D stuff. It looks awful. I'm not about it. Like, not that I've really watched Dragon Ball Z in like 20 years, but yeah, it's still like it just looks bad. Like it just looked like a video game cutscene of like a bad like Xbox 360 video game. I'm like, no, those I'll go skip that one.
I was just going through the list, and I think if we want to end on bad notes, there is a headline here that just says Power Rangers are getting quote unquote recharged, teaming up with the Ninja Turtles again. So
that's not something we need.
No,
that sounds like it's doomed to fail. Like you could only do that in the 90s. You could only have that then, like that crossover.
Yeah, in the 90s, cartoon, absolutely. Now, I mean,
just stop.
Well, to be fair, like in the 90s, like the Ninja Turtles, the way they looked in the 90s just looked like the villains from Power Rangers anyway. So
but listeners, tell us what you're most excited for about Comic-Con, or if you saw any really fucking sick cosplay, send it through, because I love me a good cosplay. 100%. So yeah, holler at us with what you're excited for, or what you think is going to be cursed.
Yeah, on YouTube, on the grams, wherever you're checking this out.
Yeah, I'd like a hand delivered letter, please. My address is
carrier pigeon.
Honestly, I'd be so excited just to get a pigeon, but my cat would probably kill it. So let's be real, she's an asshole. Speaking of carrier pigeons and backwards technologies,
good.
Is that a good segue?
That is an amazing segue.
I know my chosen method of communication for when I'm a doomsday prepper. Let's talk apocalypse. Apocalypse.
Multiple apocalypse. Well, Grant, you
can only be one
out there. Do you want to kind of introduce what we're going to be discussing right about now?
Well, I think we're going to be going in between, you know, our ideas for how to survive different scenarios of apocalypses, but also like, you know, like say like for me personally, like what I'd like to go through is like, what would you need to survive like these things? Like say like if I was in like a zombie apocalypse, right? Like I would probably like wouldn't want to be in my house. Like I would want to go to the bush. I'd want to go out to like a forest somewhere, low density. Yeah. But then, like, say if you don't know how to survive in the wilderness, like, there's no point in you going out there because you're just going to starve to death regardless if you don't know how to survive out there. Like,
if I do not have my iPhone, I will not survive. So
yeah, like if you don't know how to say like start a fire, for example, which like it sounds simple enough
with a lighter.
Lighter and kindling, but like you don't have any
lighters aren't going to cease existing if there's a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, but like it's pretty hard to like if you want to make a decent fire to just put it like a lighter into some logs. It's not going to work.
Oh yeah, no, I can build a fire. I grew up in the country. I'm primed to survive an apocalypse.
No, absolutely, but a lot of people don't know how to build a fire. But yeah, just stuff like that, or even like knowing how to find clean water or you know boiling water, like. Knowing that you can, like, say, if you have a plastic water bottle and you fill it with water and put it over a fire, you can boil it, but the water in the bottle will stop the bottle from melting. So you can actually clean water in a plastic bottle over a fire without it, like, melting through the bottom.
So one of my favorite books. One of my favorite books when I was younger. I didn't know about that. I mean, it depends on the thickness of the water bottle, what kind of plastic the water bottle is.
No, you can do it with like one of these, like these like Coles water bottles. Yeah, you can do it. They don't melt.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to melt some plastic.
You can't like sit it in the fire. Obviously, you got to like if you have it above the fire. But it won't melt.
Well, one of my favorite books when I was younger for a period of time was like the kids' version of the SAS survival guide. So I learned how to catch my own bugs. I learned like what plant shoots are safe to eat. I also know a lot about like native Australian plants and what you can eat there. Thanks to my parents. I know about how to collect my own clean water. I know about how to signal for help. I know about how to find your water supplies. I know about best places to set up camp. So I'm fine with that. I'm more worried about if it's zombies. I've just got to say this. So like what kind of zombies are we talking? Are they
fast or slow?
Are they I Am Legend zombies? Because fuck that.
Well, they're vampires actually.
Oh, well, whatever they are, I don't like them. And then
well,
I need to know,
actually,
where does a mansplainer get his water? From a well, actually. So I need to know what's causing the zombie virus. So the zombies in The Last of Us, holy shit, scared. Oh, I didn't even play it. Just the concept scared me because cordyceps fungus is what that whole thing is.
That's
so
like
those,
what the insects get,
yeah.
isn't
So
it?
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, YouTube cordyceps in bugs, and it's a fungus that takes over the brain and it kills the bug but keeps it alive at the brain stem, so the bug can still walk around and shit, but it's hijacked by the fungus, and you'll see things with like shit growing out of their head, and it's one of my biggest yucks, and it's a real possibility that it could mutate and take over
And go for
humans. I mean, at the moment, the most common fungal infections in humans are athlete's foot, jock itch, ringworm, and yeast infections. So you're more likely to have thrush zombies. But like one day we could have cordyceps zombies. So I need to know.
But if it's yeast infections, are we just looking at one day we're going to have bread zombies?
I'm okay with that. Walk around with a flamethrower.
The sourdoughs are at the door.
Yeah, and flamethrower everything. Smells like toast. Amazing. Sorted.
Absolutely. I think I do all right in like a zombie or a vampire apocalypse. I think the nuclear
I reckon
one,
let's stick with zombies for now.
Yeah. Well, I think you can kind of like put them under the same umbrella. Some sort of like humans go crazy apocalypse sort of thing. I feel like the nuclear one's a lot harder.
Vampires, hell no, you can't hide from them. If their hearing is so good, they can hear your heartbeat. You can't hide from them, so you're gonna need a fucking white noise machine. But then they'll be like, there's a white noise machine running, so clearly someone's running
There's
it.
someone there,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So vampires are a whole different kettle of fish to hide from.
Yeah, I think nuclear, like a nuclear apocalypse would be much harder though. I feel like that one's like without some sort of fallout shelters, we're probably in trouble. But like, I know
Cuba Petty's all built underground. Just go live in Cuba Petty. That Petey, whatever it is, that town in South Australia. It's all underground. Cuba Petty.
It was funny though when I was like, when you kind of raised this, I was like, fuck, I don't know like what I'm gonna talk about until I kind of realized that like I'm technically already sort of prepping for some sort of apocalypse. Like we're you know, for the listener, we're all three of us are based in Melbourne, Australia, and we were obviously like one of the most locked down cities in the world through like the last 2 years of pandemic.
We were the most
in the first big lockdown, so like technically lockdown number 2, me and my housemate and 2 good friends built a massive veggie patch in our backyard. So I built like 14 like garden planters from scratch, and then like, you know, we grew all these vegetables. So I've learned a lot over the last 2 years about like growing my own food, what I like, what I don't, what grows well really easily, what doesn't grow easily. Carrots and potatoes are the easiest fucking things to grow in the entire world. Literally.
But also, if you keep on cloning the same potato and you get a blight, it'll kill the rest of them because they've got the same genome. So you got to be careful about that one. Otherwise, you'll be Ireland.
You need to have multiple veggie patches in multiple locations.
Yeah, and kind of space it out and whatnot.
Spots.
But yeah. So then I did that. Then after the lockdown, like the third lockdown, I had one of my more what I like to call my autistic moments, where I just kind of like everyone's doing one thing, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna go and do this instead. And I really I realized I was like, I want some new kitchen knives. Like, and I was like, I want some good kitchen knives. And I was looking it up, and knives are fucking expensive. Knives are like, for a good knife, it's like a couple of $100. And my brain immediately went, well, how much can it cost to just learn how to make knives? And so I found like a knife making course. If you're in Australia, go and check. There's a place called the Tharwa Valley Forge, which is just south of Canberra, which run a whole bunch of amazing knife making courses. And so like I learned how to make kitchen knives. But if you're watching on YouTube, you're in for a treat. If you're listening on like a streaming service, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. But right now, this is a knife that I made. That's
not a knife. This is a knife.
Like a massive hunting knife that I have no idea what to do with now that I've made it. It is so sharp. I don't know where to keep it in my house. So currently, like it hides.
Josh is a vegan, so he's not likely to. I'm
not going to go hunting with this thing. But yeah, so I was like, I have just started developing these skills that I'm just like, I'm gonna find a use for them at some point in time, and maybe it's the apocalypse. But it kind of brought me like,
learn how to fight with the knife on a rope. That really cool fighting style. I don't know what the weapon's called, but like the blades on a rope. That's like,
oh yeah,
like one of those martial
Scorpion
arts
from
styles.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I'm exactly thinking
yeah.
of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I
learn
think
how
it's
to
called
fight like that.
suicide style.
Yeah. so learn how to fight like that. Speaking of, that's one of the things I learned during lockdown is which mental health facilities have good inpatient units in Melbourne. So Josh really thrived. I did not.
Yeah, I just well, I feel like my partner and I, we went on a similar tangent to Josh, so we got like hella into like making sure we got like 3 months worth of food and water in the garage at all times.
Yeah.
We got like bug out bags now. Just, got to like make sure you got like 2,000 calories worth of food in there for like 4 or 5 days to make it through. Knowing what survival tools you need, or like knowing that like cotton balls and Vaseline are like the best fire starters you can ever have, and it's like super cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Just little things like that. So, Panadol, always got to have Panadol on you, otherwise you die from infection.
That's honey. I'm not going there. Panadol's not going to save you from an infection.
No, it's not.
Antibiotics are what we're thinking of.
But you can't really afford. We can't really afford them if we're not in Australia, can we?
Exactly. Well, with my hyper anxiety, one of the things that I do regularly think of is what I would do in case, like, there's a reason why I can't watch too many horror movies, and it's because I get to like, okay, if this was going to happen. But where I grew up is literally the perfect place for a zombie apocalypse. It's in the country, in a rural area, so there's a lot of farms around. There's a national park at the end of the road. There's like 3 other houses on my tiny street. Avocado farm. So exactly. My dad grows all his own veggies. My mom has a very well-stocked wine cellar. And you have all of the materials and fertilizers you'd ever need to have it going well. They keep chickens, etc. Houses on stilts, because Queensland. So all you have to do is cut the stairs off. Bam, job done. No zombies are getting in. There's even a cherry picker in case of worst case scenario. So that's one of those like raised platforms that you can lift up and down, like that you can also drive around. So you could be, in theory, 20 meters up in the air, driving down the street, running away from zombies, because, I mean, that's what you can do with them. So they've got a generator, solar power, and yeah, it's a pretty good idea. And all I have to do is steal a car, go by a chemist, and just, again, take all the antibiotics and stuff you'd ever need. And also antifungals, because we don't want any yeast infection zombies. Otherwise, islands. Like, what about like Kagari, which is like Fraser Island off the coast of Queensland? There's like no people really live there. And it's full of dingoes, so that sounds nice because you have company. And it's a tropical island, well, subtropical. I mean, it would be bloody lovely.
Isn't there like beaches on Kagari though that you can't swim at because they're just like so infested with sharks that you will die as soon as you step in the water?
Yeah, that's where you push the zombies into.
Do sharks eat? Actually, no. I can answer this question because I watched one of my favorite fucking zombie films. What was that film? I think it's called
Sharks vs. Zombies.
Sharknado versus Zombie-nado.
No, it was. I think it's called Zombie Flesh Eaters. It was not Lucio Fulci, but someone like one of those like Italian schlock horror people made a zombie film, and it has a really, really famous scene in it where like they literally filmed a stuntman walking on like the bottom of the ocean, and a shark comes past and he just punches the shark, and that's the scene, is like the zombies kind of thing, but like quite literally it was just a stuntman punching a shark underwater, and the shark didn't eat him. So that answers the question of no, sharks do not eat zombies.
Well, that's also the beauty of the waters surrounding Brisbane is they are really infested with sharks, because there used to be so they used to actually keep prisoners, like convicts, there on the islands, because there used to be like all like these fishing plants, and they'd like gut the fish and empty them into the water. So sharks have remembered over time that that's where you get food from. So people used to not escape from these prison colonies because there was no point, because if you tried to swim across the bay, you'd be eaten by something. And same with Stradbroke Island, Minjerribah, off the coast of Queensland too. Like, shit tons of sharks there. Excellent. And they also follow the migration of humpback whales up and down the coast. So I mean, shark-infested waters would be a pretty good way to stop zombies swimming over at you.
I
Well, I
guess up
mean-
there as
Maybe.
well. Don't you kind of have to get through the salties to get through to get to the sharks anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's yeah.
Well, I think as well, like that'd stop the other people, like the non-zombified, but like people that want to like raid your stash. Like an island's probably
Yeah.
good for that too, is because it's going to stop other people who are trying to get at your goods. Yeah, it's going to keep them away too. So that's actually a pretty smart idea.
Yeah, and like again, Queensland's my plan because my dad is just like Bushman supreme. Like anything I don't know how to do, he can teach me how to do. Like, and so I'm like, he's just like people who are like Bushmen who are like, oh yeah, you can eat that, and you're like, how do you know that? And then he's like, like lights a
Tried it
fire
once,
and,
mate.
yeah, I saw my mate go crazy and die when he ate it, so don't eat that.
Don't
You're
eat
like,
that
"What?"
one. That one gave me the runs, but only after I ate 3 of them.
Yeah, but yeah, you want to go somewhere that you can have good people with you and just someone who's a wealth of knowledge. So,
Yeah,
but
I think that's
in reality, yeah, it's
I think
like,
that's such an important point, though, as you say. It's like, yeah, because I wouldn't be able to tell like what's a like a safe mushroom from a not safe mushroom. Like I feel like there's
oh, I can.
there is a lot of there's a lot of knowledge to be learnt there that I think would save me, but I just haven't gotten there yet.
It's all right, you got me. But in reality, I think I'd probably end up joining the scientists who are trying to cure it, if it's curable. Because, but I'm not like the most useful scientist because my background in science is synthetic organic chemistry. So I could probably make some really good chemical weapons, though, which is something you don't see enough in zombie movies. Like, you mix the right kind of stuff together. I mean, acetone and bleach, like hydrogen peroxide, mix those together. You got a fucking excellent bomb. All you need to do is rig your perimeter with those trip
But
lines.
don't do that, kids. That is not something that you should do. For any government officials that are listening out there, we're not
I
condoning
mean,
this
I
action. It's
don't know how
we're
to
just
make
stating facts.
and there's no
Don't go out
Yeah.
and purchase or download a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook.
No, do not do that. The Anarchist Cookbook
You
is a book
cannot
full of
make
recipes.
napalm
Yeah.
with styrofoam and petrol. Don't
Yeah.
try it.
Do
and
not
there's
do
no
it.
reason why fertilizer is something that they test for in explosive tests at airports.
No,
No idea why they
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So
But
yeah,
it's-
shit in a cup and it will blow up when you throw it at a zombie.
Yeah, absolutely. But Margy, I think what you've said brings me to the esoteric question I want to ask you both, and this is the deep and philosophical one. Let's go with the zombie apocalypse. Of all the apocalypses, that seems like the most kind of popular one. Do you think humanity will survive it?
I mean,
No.
depends what you define humanity as.
It also depends.
Oh, the humanity.
Yeah. It depends the kind of zombies though, doesn't it? Like if it's like 28 days later, like it's like a rage virus kind of style, then maybe because they're not going to live forever. Like you could outlast an infected person that's going to starve. But I'd say like if they're just undead and every time that you lose one person, they gain one person, no, not a chance.
Well, also that raises the question of like this is something where my science brain needs quantification for me to hypothesize. So if it's again, like if it's a virus where it turns, or if it's like the fucking cordyceps thing, like if they're like alive but dead in a way, like if that makes sense, like they're being controlled by something else,
Yeah.
and they have a means to keep their bodies functioning, that's one thing. But if they are just raised dead, the thing that's going to happen if you just raise the dead is they're just going to decompose unless there's some kind of magical
Holding them
force
together.
that's keeping them alive. So, benefit again of going up to Queensland. I'm sticking with this.
Moisture.
It's so fucking hot and humid up there. It's like 30 degrees all the time. Those zombies are going to rot in like a fucking week. Job done. And then, but humanity itself, I think that's something that's often explored in literature and stuff is like the humanity, like, or what is it to be human and how humans will survive, when society breaks down. And I think we saw a tiny snippet of that during COVID, that people are fuckwits. People are inherently, it's not whether humans are inherently good or bad, humans are inherently fuckwits. And selfish.
Yeah, toilet paper.
Yeah, the toilet paper thing, like, oh, God forbid should the elderly have stuff that they need when they go to the shops. Nah, fuck them. So, but does that sum it up, Josh? Is that what the humanity will survive?
It's
No,
not what I meant, but it's the perfect
yeah.
answer.
I think what sums it up is the people who then came back to return all the toilet paper they'd bought when they found out they didn't need to buy that much and got told, nah, fuck you, you bought all the toilet paper, you keep it, dickhead.
Yeah. So
and
that's keeping humanity alive at the same time. So it kind of balances out
But
nicely.
also, let's be real. Those people aren't going to survive an apocalypse. They're just going to stockpile, lock themselves in their, suburban homes, and then be like, "What do you mean the glass on my windows wasn't bulletproof? The zombies broke through the glass, like trying to call the real estate agent. Like, what do you mean? This is and yeah, they all die. But people who are like, cool, let's just go live in the bush. That sounds great. Yeah,
It does.
it really does. Bring some books with you. Like,
are we going to start a co-op? Is that what's happening?
I think we're starting a co-op.
Yeah, I think we're I don't even need the zombie apocalypse to do that. I will just 100% just do that. That's not an issue at all.
And if we have enough smart people with us, we can rig up a bicycle to a generator. Someone sits there pedaling, and we can watch projector movies.
No, that's for the dumb person. The dumb person sits on the bike, not the smart people.
Yeah, no, the smart person rigs it up, and then the fat one has to cycle.
No, the jock. You just need a jock who just wants to cycle. It's just kind of like, here you go. You can cycle right there.
Me like bikes.
We'll reap the benefits.
Something I've also always wondered about zombie apocalypses is people who are cremated. That's still technically a dead person. Do the ashes come back to life?
Yeah, they just give you asthma. It's got you wake up and then fucking Aunt Mary's a dust cloud in the kitchen. You're like, oh fuck.
Get the brooms.
What, the vacuum
out.
Hey, I'm imagining
turn the range hood on. You're like, take that, bitch.
Get stuck in all the grease.
You can just hear them all going like, no.
Amazing.
Jeez. Zombies. Nuclear fallout's a whole other one because I've got stuff to teach you about nuclear radiation. So we'll get to that when we get to it.
Well, no, we'll tell us. All right. Well, I think we've ticked all the boxes we need to for the humans turning into monsters based apocalypse. I want to know, Margy, because I know very little about nuclear radiation. So you're gonna have to educate. What is this a good or a bad thing? We in trouble? We in bad trouble?
Make skin fall off.
There's a really good chance that we all just die. It depends where the strike zone is, and it depends what kind of nuclear weapon is used. And it depends on the strength of the nuclear weapon. But if you look at nuclear disasters, let's go Chernobyl, very long lasting environmental effects. So
and the wind as well.
Yeah, it gets carried. That's the big thing as well. So a nuclear holocaust would be really hard to survive unless you had fully prepared underground lead-lined bunker systems. Lead is important because ionizing radiation can't penetrate lead. And if you're going to go outside,
it actually the ions in the radiation actually shoot through the wall in your skin, and that's what the decomposition
that's
is.
what X-rays are.
Because they say when you got that fallout coming on you, there's actually those ions shattering your matter, and that's why you fall apart.
And that's why you get radiation sickness, because it resembles cancer because it fragments your DNA, it causes random mutations, it does all of this stuff. So radiation's a very complex one. If you're in the immediate fallout zone, not great. If you're in the external fallout zone, I would still recommend building an underground bunker with as much lead as possible. You're going to want to get a lead-lined suit or a radiation suit. You're going to want to get a radiation decontamination thing so you can decontaminate before you go in and out of your bunker, because you don't want to be bringing decontamination somewhere, contaminated stuff. Because I don't know if you've ever seen how they decontaminate radioactive stuff, but like there's it's a process. But what I'd be most excited for is all the weird biological shit that's going to happen. Is it going to be like the movie Annihilation, like where there's like weird like two-headed things and like demon bears and shit? Like, so I'd be keeping field notes in a journal and taking specimens and keeping them in like a bunker, and I'd be nerding out on like all the biology of it, like field trips, maps, but yeah, so yeah, you also all the food supplies will be contaminated unless they're already in a bunker. Pretty much, if a nuclear holocaust happens, if someone nukes someone else, yeah, we're all fucked. Australia should be okay because
So the upside is, we're not worth nuking because our population is so dispersed and so little. Like the cities we get nuked, but everything in between, like, is not worth nuking. So we probably would be better off than most countries.
What I would recommend is if like it looked like there was war coming to Australia, head inland a lot, because all of our major cities are on the coast.
But not too far inland, because then you get too close to Pine Gap, and that's probably going to get nuked, because that's where our nuke come from.
Yeah, look, you got to find the sweet in between grounds, but
stay away from Alice Springs. Like, that's going to get nuked.
Fuck. So yeah, nuclear holocaust, whatever you want to call it, nuclear fallout, nuclear whatever. And we're looking into world days, because then you have like the aftermath of that, which is going to greatly affect weather patterns and all of that stuff. So yeah, we're all gonna die. Much easier to deal with zombies. Vampires, I'm iffy on.
All right, so then I guess to kind of round out this discussion though, so are we agreeing that number one is the number, like if we have the choice of the three of them, number one is zombies, number two is vampires, number three is nuclear? Is that is that
yeah. So I feel like even if it's vampires, you're gonna die less painlessly than you would if you say survive the nuclear blast and die to the radiation. Like, that's an awful death.
It's a pretty nasty death. Yeah.
Although,
and you could be turned into a vampire, which would be fucking dope.
But that was so it was would then you flip it around and say vampires would be number one, because if you get eaten by a zombie then you turn into a zombie, and that's kind of boring. But if you get bit by a vampire and then you turn into a vampire, that's kind of cool.
But the process is a lot more than just being bitten by a vampire. You then have to feast on their blood for them to become your sire. So it's their choice to make you a vampire.
Yeah, sure. And they probably don't want it.
But if it's anything like Daybreakers, they're just going to keep us as blood bags, because otherwise they'll die if they kill all of us.
Well,
so
what if it becomes what if it's like True Blood and it's kind of like vamp rights, and like vampires just kind of try and live amongst people, and then people get addicted to their blood as a drug, and then it just all goes from there. Like, so
too many vampires, too many variables, too many sparkles.
Yeah, what if it's sparkly vampires? I mean,
then we laugh at them,
kill them all.
No, we asked to play baseball with them and just laugh. Like, can you pitch that ball again? And
amazing.
Yeah,
fucking vampire nerds can't even play sports.
So it sounds like
that's a problem. What if vampires get into professional sports? Hey, see, that's what we should be really worried about.
What? Because it's unfair of them if we play let's say a midday game, and then they can't play.
No, I more meant like their superhuman strength, where they
well, they have to have their own league, surely.
Oh my god, Vampire Olympics would 10 out of 10 watch. Oh, okay, I'm ready.
Amazing. All right, so I think the conclusion is that the three of us are going to be fine on our commune as long as it's far away from the capital cities, but not too close to Alice Springs. We're all going to bring something different to the table.
Why don't we just go to New Zealand?
True. No one's going to nuke New Zealand. It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. It's all going to be taken over by volcanoes in like 1,000 years anyway. So it's like,
but it'll probably be all right, because I guess like once all the nukes settle and like all the clouds settle in and everything starts freezing again, then the water level will slowly drop, and we won't have to worry about New Zealand's islands being underwater.
Yeah, we could just walk over as well.
Yeah. Maybe that land bridge to Papua New Guinea will come back, and we'll just go up there.
Bring back Pangea.
Yeah.
I love it. That was exactly how I was expecting that conversation to go. Pretty much.
I got high functioning anxiety.
All right, though we're gonna round out this episode now, though. With we're gonna bring it back to in the very first episode we had a final beat, which is still probably my favorite final beat, and I think the competition for this one is going to be just as tough as the competition for our first one. So our very first one, we had the concept of who would win in a fight, and the first time we said Arwen versus Awen, and it was about 50-50 in the end. Like it was close. Very close. And I feel like this one is going to be just as hot competition, and I'm very, very excited to ask you both who would win in a fight. Han Solo versus Indiana Jones.
Sorry,
Grant.
Indiana
Yeah, I
Jones.
thought that was funny.
Indiana. Sorry, Indiana Jones.
Indiana
Jones. Han Solo versus Indiana Jones. Grant, let's start with you. Who would win in a fight?
Oh, you gotta lay some ground rules first. I feel like it has to be fist fight.
Okay.
Because like blaster versus gun, like it has to be fist fight.
Blaster versus lasso.
Yeah, well, he's got both though. I guess Indiana Jones has more at his disposal. Like Han Solo's just got his laser blaster. I'm sure travels faster than a bullet. But then again, wizards keep on blocking them with laser swords, so maybe they don't travel that fast. But then, I don't know. I feel like fist fight. I've seen Indiana Jones deck way more people than Han Solo. Like I'm a bit more confident in Indiana Jones in a fist fight. Like all he does, like I recently watched like the first 3. Didn't watch Crystal Skull, but I recently rewatched the first 3 with Chucky because it was his movie night, my dog. And yeah, he belts a lot of people. Like
Chucky's got an up. He's got an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought he was actually about to take a shit for a second. I have to stop the podcast. No, he's just rubbing his ass on the carpet. Never mind.
Same thing.
But yeah, I feel like I've seen Indiana Jones belt way more people than Han Solo. I feel like he usually gets Chewbacca to do his dirty work.
Oh, all right.
Margy, what about you?
Disagree. I reckon Han Solo would win. He is a very lucky person.
Yes.
Because the C-3PO said the odds of successfully navigating Millennium Falcon through the asteroid field outside of Hoth are 3,720 to 1. And so that's 0.00003% chance. And Han Solo made it happen. Also, his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever, depending on if we're going off book or movie canon, plus his brother-in-law / ex-brother-in-law are fucking mind wizards. So I'm pretty sure that worst
So
case
you're saying
scenario,
that they'll cheat? They'll go 3v1?
I mean, I reckon they'd let the shit I reckon they'd let Han get the shit kicked out of him for a while, and then they'd just be like, "You no longer want to fight this poor man." And anyway, he'd walk away, even if he didn't win. Just based on his luck. I think like a Jedi intervention would make him safe in the long haul.
I guess we're gonna have the context though. What if Han Solo is smuggling a rare artifact? Then he's got no chance, I reckon. Can't win.
Oh, because Indiana wants to go get the rare artifact.
He's the Terminator. Yeah, he's the archaeological Terminator.
I reckon he'd just be like, what? I reckon he'd have to sweet talk his way out of it because, like, he's such a handsome man. He's not very good at sweet talking, Han Solo, but...
But also, you say he's such a handsome man, but he's far more handsome in Indiana Jones than he is in Star Wars.
I don't know about that. That's a bigger call in my opinion.
He's in Star Wars. He's got a dorky ass haircut. In Indiana Jones, he's got like
what's
nice
wrong with dorks?
stubble.
Nah,
yeah,
Indiana Jones is too clean cut. Too clean.
Nah, he looks better. Nah, he's.
What do you think, Josh? Who'd win?
Well, I've like noted both of your things as I was making notes because I think I think Indy's a better fighter, 100%, as Grant says. Like he's knocked out a lot more people. I think like Han Solo tends to like get his way out of fights. Like if he's smarter, if he's in a fight, Han's street smarter, but Indiana's book smarter, which I think
what academic is that good at fist fighting though? I'm sorry. Have you ever met an academic?
Absolutely not. Which I think street smarts is always going to beat book smarts in a fist fight. But I think it comes down to at the end, and we have to state this as fact. This is canon. I don't want to hear any arguments about this. Han shot first. So Han is not going to be against cheating in this.
Yeah, I guess
That's
so. Yeah,
very
he could be
fair.
cheating, yeah.
Han, like is the lovable scoundrel, but he would cheat in this fight, and I think
He's a
that's
scoundrel.
how I think that's how Han Solo would win, because again, I have to state this fact: Han shot first. He always
and
shot
I guess
first.
Indy is all about honor in the end.
Han Solo
So,
has clearly no honor, and so I think Indy would be the better fighter on stats, but I think Han Solo would cheat and win.
Yeah, I can live with that. I think Indy would win in a fair fight, but I think the inherent of like fighting for your life is that it's just not fair. Like you just do what you can to survive.
In a fair fight, the nature of the two, I think would lead to Han Solo cheating and winning.
But can I posit this question?
Go on.
Seeing as Han Solo is technically kind of force sensitive, and he gets to use a mystical wizard power, does then Indy get to use the Ark of the Covenant?
Who wins in a fight, Jesus or the Force?
yeah, Jesus or God?
I don't know how aware of his force sensitivity is.
No, he's not. Yeah,
I got a bad feeling about this. He might just have IBS.
But dear listener, we put it out to you. Who would win in a fight? Every Friday after the podcast comes out. Podcast comes out on a Wednesday. Every Friday on the Northside Nerds Instagram and Facebook, we posit the question. So make sure you go follow at Northside Nerds on Instagram and on Facebook. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you could leave your comment below. Who would win in a fight? Han Solo or Indiana Jones? And we need to know why, because we've posited a couple of different ways in here. It is Indiana Jones. It is.
It's Indiana.
What is Indiana?
Indiana Jones.
Even the state's called Indiana, from like a country of people who don't say A's
Jones.
like us. Even
Indiana
they call
Jones.
it Indiana.
Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones.
Can we just bully Josh about this?
No,
we've broken Josh.
It's not the dumbest thing I say. I upset when I say. Now, see, now I'm going to say it right. I say psychopath, but it's psychopath, isn't it? Psychopath. whichever one's wrong, I say the wrong one. So it's psychopath. Yeah, psychopath. It's a psychopath. Psychopath.
Lonely road.
Whatever. Yeah.
The only psychopath that I have ever known.
100% psychopath. That's weird. I don't like that.
It's psychopath, as in pathology, as in Greek derived. Oh,
Pathology.
okay. Otherwise, y'all can you do Josh getting smacked in the face by the pronunciation guide from the Oxford Dictionary?
If you want, for this week only, you can bully Josh on the internet as much as you want, and we won't say anything.
I'll join in.
Yeah. And if it makes you feel better, I'll even think about renewing that next week too.
So I say oven, not. I don't know how else the word goes. Like OVEN, what you cook food in.
Oven.
It's an oven.
An oven. Do you say garage too?
New Zealanders say
car in a garage.
Garage.
Oh, I don't know. Look. Anyway, so we all have things.
Car in the garage.
Queenslander.
No, that's not from Queensland. That's Scottish grandparents.
Fair. We're going to end this episode of bullying now because we all have our things.
We can't talk right.
No, we're only podcast hosts, and I'm only a quote unquote professional radio host outside of this podcast. So you think of anyone?
I'm a year 9 dropout, so like I probably shouldn't be able to speak correctly. So I'll take that on the chin.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
Impossible. Leave your comments below. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. We have fun doing this podcast. And
Peace, love, and Han Solo wins in a fight. That's what I'm saying.
Peace, love, and Han Solo wins in a fight. That's it.
Dirty ass cheating dog.